What's happening, y'all? This is Karina Isabel, and welcome back to Elevate Your Game. Today we have a special guest, founder of Core Prep Academy, founder of the basketball firm, NBA trainer, coach, mentor, husband, father, all things you can think of, Mr. Todd Wilson. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, you're familiar with the show as you have hosted over 30 episodes. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it without you behind the scenes helping me out. So appreciate all that you have done, and I'm gonna continue going.
So, we're going to start off the show traditionally. So, we're going to look at the Wall of Hoop movies. I'm going to challenge you, though. I don't want to know what your favorite movie is.
Oh, okay.
I want to know which one has taught you something that you still apply today.
That's deep. Something has taught me that I apply to today. Just looking on the wall here, it probably has to come from Coach Carter. Just because the movie's focused around the coach, and just the discipline that you need to instill into certain kids, and how you have to treat certain kids differently. You know, he had Timo Cruz on there, who was kind of the hothead, and
Your twin, of course.
no, that's interesting. Yes, my twin, and had to, kind of give him some tough love, but at the same time, give him the benefit of the doubt in some situations. And I've learned that each kid just grows up different, and basketball can be something, along with God, that can save you, because it's a tool that can be used to help save kids and put them in a position to be successful or get out of the situation they're in. And so I definitely apply that when I see certain kids who don't have, I want to say the standard for what you want in a basketball player, to kind of provide that for them.
So that actually leads me into where we're going to start this. We usually ask people when they fell in love with basketball. You've talked about it on episodes, late bloomer to the game. Kind of, most people are like, oh, when I was 2, when I was 4. You started at 11. Kind of learned throughout, but I want to bring it to kind of when you started, because you have an impact on when other kids fall in love with basketball. You're the start to them falling in love with basketball. And I think there's a difference from interest and then love. Because they're probably interested in basketball, which is why they wouldn't join core prep without being interested in basketball. At least the parents' interest. Who knows about the kids?
Right.
But I want to start with core prep. That's 9 years ago. So we're kind of fast forwarding. We have plenty of episodes where you talk about kind of your life going throughout moving to Kansas, moving back, being an NBA trainer, meeting Chris Johnson, everything you've learned from him. We've had him on the show, incredible gems that he dropped. But I want to start with core prep, because you talked about how you started it. I really want to know, throughout the years, what have you been kind of like learning that you've been able to apply as a businessman, a husband, and a father? Because these are children that you're with, but you're also kind of coaching them. So what have you learned from them, or even just from core prep in general, in those 3 aspects?
I've learned almost everything through this journey. From a coaching perspective, I think it goes back to, you coach every kid differently. I'll remember this always. It was our first week of core, and I was in the gym, and as a trainer, when I'm in my individual sessions, there's a lot of learning and teaching, and I'm not coaching necessarily. Where when you put a coaching hat on, there's a certain authority and voice that you use to get your point across, especially when you're coaching a group of kids. And it means you have to raise your voice, not screaming and yelling, but just speaking with more power, I want to say. And so you get your point across, or that people can hear you, just that basic. And I'm pretty sure I was a little extra at this moment, but the kids weren't working hard. And I remember Johnny Juzang, like, really getting emotional about how I was coaching them, because prior to that moment, I was just his private trainer. And then when we step on the court in this more group setting, it was, I'm trying to motivate them to work, have a certain work ethic. And he was not happy with how I approached him. And, that came along with having a conversation with his father about, hey, what happened? Why is this kid getting so emotional in the first week of this program? Like, what's happening? And just explaining to him my intention, but also hearing him as a father, like, hey, he doesn't need, like, he responds different to certain things. I'm not saying that you're wrong for coaching him that way, but he just responds better to different things. And really hearing that and taking that into account. And also understanding the balance of when to press into guys, when not to, what is motivating, what isn't, but also being authoritative without screaming and being angry. Something I learned through this whole process. You see it now when I'm on campus. Like, all I gotta say is, hey, I have everybody's attention. I can get kids to do what is asked of them very quickly with my voice. And so being an effective communicator to parents, to school administration, to kids, to my team, you know, like I'm just an effective communicator. It's helped with my marriage, communicating with my wife. Same thing. It was a overall thing in my life. Like when I spoke to Ashley, I spoke with an aggressiveness because that's how I was raised. My mom speaks aggressive. So my dad was a drill sergeant in the military. Like we just speak aggressive, and it doesn't mean anything. It's just how I talk. But I had to learn to take a different tone with her, and she had to learn on the other end how to hear me through my rigidness as well. But I've definitely calmed down, and we even made a game of it to, you know, when I know I want to like be more aggressive in my tone, I actually go the other way and be kind of sarcastic. Hey, babe, actually, would you do this? And so being able to communicate is probably the biggest thing. And same thing with business. Just the Bible says, be seasoned with salt, knowing how to speak to everyone, you know, and I really listened to that because me and my words are what got me in trouble a lot growing up. I was a great listener, followed directions, but yeah, my language is what got me in trouble most of the time. And so I knew that was a gift. Usually what you struggle with in your youth is usually a gift on the other end, and when you use it for what God has it for. And so I knew that taming my tongue and using it to breathe life into people was going to be important to me. I just always understood at a young age. So I used to literally just read that scripture day after day after day after day and practice it. So.
Yeah. I think a huge thing that I admire, because, I mean, I see your life 360. I mean, I'm literally between being around your wife and your kids, because your wife mentors me, being around you at core, being here, doing this, and then just any side projects we do. You always bring it back to the Bible. No matter what conversation we have, no matter what situation we're in, you kind of talk about it, and then you always bring it back to the Bible. Now, with having kids under you, and not all of them are coming from that. I mean, you were raised with a mother that spoke about the Bible, talked about Jesus. You kind of went to church, sorry. How do you kind of like balance that out? Like being able to still be who you are, who God has called you to be, what you believe in, and mentor these kids and kind of lead them in that way, but also respecting that the parents might not be believers or might not be walking that. Because I think basketball teaches you a lot. The Bible is the foundation of it all. You can always, one thing you've said is you can always relate it back to the Bible.
Yeah.
So what have you been able to, one, kind of like balance that out, but then like, even then, like, what have you seen basketball like, oh, this is literally parallel to the Bible? Part
of this is that it's me. Like, I read the Bible so much that is my thoughts. It is how I believe life is supposed to go. I hope, you know, I make mistakes. I'm not perfect at all. And my goal is to live the way that the Bible has called us to, and looking at the life of Christ is how you do that. Like, he loved everybody regardless of if they were, you know, believers in him or not. He just loved everyone. He always spoke the truth. And so I hope that that light just shines through me. I think that's what it is that my intention is for everyone to be great, like to a fault sometimes. And I would put myself in harm's way for someone else to be great. And as I mature, I'm understanding I got to take care of myself and fill my cup before I can share. But that's it, is that I think people see my heart in that way. It's how I was raised. It's how my mom was. We just show the love of Christ through everything that we do. And I kind of don't care what other people's beliefs are. I respect them, but I love them the same. And that's what this is about, is that I hope that light shines and they feel God's presence when I love like God told me to love. And so that's how I'm led. I don't ever think about that. Like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
This is who I am. I'm gonna keep you be you, and I'm gonna continue to be me, and we're gonna love each other regardless. And so, I think there was a second part to your question.
Basketball. Where have you seen basketball parallels?
I think basketball is just a tool, right? I think God uses so many different tools for people to learn about Him and what He's created on this earth, and how everything could be reciprocated. It's just it's a student-teacher relationship. It's a mom and dad relationship. It's a sibling relationship. Like, all these relationships are based in basketball. It's a self relationship. And so, you got to hold yourself accountable. You have to listen to your coach, which is authority. You have to play along with your teammates. You have outside voices with your parents and fans coming in, and how to manage all of that, stay grounded in what is true and what is real and what God has called you to for your purpose, is what it is. Basketball is just a tool that, hey, if you got something, you like basketball, cool, use it. And it's going to develop you. You see it with NBA players. They just continue to mature in so many different ways on the court, from the love of this game, but you can still see their development as a human as well through this game.
Yeah.
And the discipline that it takes and the devotion it takes. All these things should be pointed to God first, and then to this. So.
I think that's one thing, the key words, discipline.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've learned from, working with you now and being around all the student athletes. I can see the ones that are disciplined and the ones that are not. You see it in the game, you see it in their character more than anything. And I think that it's crazy to think how, like you said, it's a tool. And that tool is teaching so many people. So then if they just, as soon as they become adults, even now as young student athletes, but they still apply it. Maybe it won't be picking up a basketball at 6 a.m., but it's picking up the Bible. It's picking up a walk with their wife. It's picking up something that's just every day. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And it goes out throughout their life. And if I know anybody that has drive, that's you. First of all, a little too much for me to keep up, but we're working on it. But going back to how you said your relationship with God, and one thing I've seen is God speaks to you. That's how Core Prep has come along. I want to know, you started to elevate your game. We just started off. You just hit me up. You were like, hey, I want to bring my podcast back. I watched the last ones and I was like, okay, let's do it. I have some gear. Let's bring it back. I asked you if I could redo this office because I'm not a fan of white walls. I don't like it plain. Okay? So we redid it. We've been shooting it since March, 30-something episodes. Now, we've started a lot of projects. You've started a lot of projects. You always have ideas, business ideas. But when did you know Elevate Your Game was going to be something?
After the first episode.
Really? Katino Mobley?
Yeah. My first guest was Katino Mobley. First off, former NBA player. He didn't have to do it. I asked him, he said, yeah, when do you want to do it? It wasn't let me think about it, get with my people. He has booking agents for the stuff that he does. And so shout out Katino, good looking brother. And just to come and share. And it did exactly what I wanted it, what I envisioned it doing, was to give information to people who think they know. This is what the real is. This is what the real information is. I knew from right then. And the more, our first 5 guests were amazing.
Oh my God.
It's okay, we're starting to show off with these people. Right.
The first 10, let's talk about that.
All of them. We've had amazing guests to the, from literally NBA coaches, NBA players, former NBA players themselves, everything. And it's all right, let's go, God. It's this peace. Yeah. I just feel peace when I'm here. I feel peace when I'm talking to people. There's never a moment that I don't want to do this. How you know I love something is when I show up to it early. I'm never late for this. I'm just never late. And so I don't care what impact it has. I just know it's going to have an impact on somebody. Yeah.
I think that's one thing. I'm coming from I'll say it like this. You love basketball. I like basketball. Grew up, I wanted to be a Laker girl. That was my first dream. I was 4 years old. No rhythm in my body, but I wanted to be a Laker girl. But I just grew up with the sport. My brother played basketball. I played for 3 semesters when I was 8. But found my giftings. We all have whatever. But I think this podcast is more than just for student athletes and parents of student athletes. I think that's one thing. It's kind of like that bridge. It's like, hey, this is really what, like, we have great information. If you're a parent, if you're playing the sport, even if you just stop playing the sport, if the ball just stopped bouncing, go watch a few episodes. Go watch all the episodes, whatever you can. You're going to gain something. But on this side of things, I mean, first episode, talk about getting called out. Katina Mobley had me crying behind the camera.
He did.
Oh my gosh, so much good advice in that episode. And then the Chris Johnson episode was amazing. That was a bunch of really wise words on just life. Like, we've had so many wonderful episodes of just life advice. So I think that's kind of when I started realizing, like, oh, dang, elevate your game. Like, like, this needs to hit. Like, I need to figure out what I can do, how I can do it. Because, yeah, when you hit me, all I knew was camera gear. I had never videotaped anything. I've never done a podcast. And we started this. Like, it's crazy. So I'm excited to see what 2024 is going to bring. We've had wonderful 2023 moments. Our viral moment, which I don't think either of us would have guessed.
Which
Todd
one?
Wilson.
Oh, Todd Wilson's, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. Cut up perfectly by Karina. Yeah. Todd Wilson's full of, I think there's two reasons. Todd Wilson's just full of information. He is a coach to the T. Like, he loves this. He has a great following on Twitter. And I think that's where maybe we need our X, whatever you call it now, formerly Twitter. Maybe we should post more stuff on there because I think our audience is there. Like you said, it's for everybody. How I knew this was for everybody too. My wife finally started listening to this after episode 25 or so. Thank you. Had to tell her to listen. She was like, why would I listen to it? It's about basketball. I said, it's not really about basketball. And she listened to an episode. She was like, oh, this is really good. And her best friend, who has nothing to do with basketball as well, was like, oh, this is actually dope. And so shout out to you guys for actually listening. And that's how I knew. I was like, my wife is a critic in a good way. Like, she's going to give you the real. And she gave me the real. And she was like, oh, no, it was dope. Like, so knowing that I can impact her, who has nothing to do with basketball, it was great. And then the viral moment of Wolfson was, I think, just set up perfectly. Like, if you guys listen to the full clip and go listen to the whole episode, that's what the little clips are for. And speaking of that, so you've seen a lot of talented kids being a Mission League coach, coaching at St. Francis. What separates the ones that are like really Division I players, impactful Division I players versus ones who are on a lower level? What do you think that separation is?
I mean, it's a great question, first of all, but I think there's a couple things. The first one I would have to go to, they have an elite mindset. Like, their mindset is different than everybody else's. And you can tell when you play against them, like, they warm up different, they walk in the gym different. Like, their mindset is different from the second they walk in that gym. And it's amazing to see. Like, you can tell there's that's a 5-star, that's a 4-star kid. Like, and they're 5-star from the second they walk in to the second they leave. And it's not just when they're on the court. And I think that's what separates a lot of those kids is that.
Yeah. So we were just talking about how you know the difference between somebody who is a high level basketball player, and we use the term 4 or 5 stars. And before he says what he says in the clip, he says like 4 or 5 stars, but you know what, like 4 or 5 stars is rated by the media. That's not rated by us. He's talking about 4 or 5-star people, players. It's their character, and it's by how they walk in the gym, how their character is really based around their character. Like, their basketball game is going to take them so far, but their character is going to take them over the top. And that's all he was speaking to. And 500,000 views later, maybe more. I've stopped looking after the 500,000. That I even pinned a tweet, or a message, hey, go look at the real video and hear everything we have to say. So shout out to Coach Wolfson for bestowing the knowledge on us and making us viral. So thanks.
And that was crazy. That's when I was like, dang, this is more than just these 4 walls. Yeah. That's what's crazy. Yeah. That once I edit and I post and we post on your Instagram, it feels like you kind of let it go, but you don't see it. We're not watching the views every day. Like, we're just kind of letting it be what it is. So it's been crazy to see that. And just, you've had people come up to you and just be like, oh yeah, I love the podcast. And it's like, oh, you're watching the podcast?
Yeah, and so I'm going to take this moment because it doesn't happen. Hey, if you listen to our podcast, if you listen to the clips on Instagram, please go subscribe. That's what helps this thing, be something more. So go on YouTube and subscribe. Follow us on the podcast, Spotify, Apple. Please subscribe to the podcast if you can. I have to ask. Yeah.
Where do you want this podcast to be in 2024? With
Where
their
do I want it
help,
to
once
be?
you guys subscribe, of course.
I know we're for, this is more than just basketball. I just want every student athlete and their parents to listen and get the information. And so I want it to be something that coaches can send to their kids. Like, hey, you need to listen to this episode where players you're seeking information about what the next steps are. Listen to one of our guests who are in the space that you're going to, a high school coach, going to the NBA, former college coach, whatever it is, so you can understand, more information. And so I just wanted to literally be what it is already and just reach more people. And so share it and let me know what you guys want. Like, hey, do you have guests that you think should be on here? Let me know. We're a 100% referral based podcast. It's people I know, and the people who are here refer us who should be on here, and it's been amazing that way. So whatever you guys need, whatever information is needed, I love to be the person who gets that to you.
Especially with 2024 bringing the basketball firm.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, you going into that venture of really sitting down and giving these parents information and guidance and all that. And I think that's the most exciting part, that this is just kind of like the entertainment aspect of it. I think a huge thing that we learn about social media is you either entertain, educate, or I think there's a third one. But it's amazing that you're like kind of like, hey, if you're just looking for entertainment, we have a great podcast. You're still going to get information, great information. But if you're just kind of on the like chillax side of things, for lack of a better term, and then you're going to the basketball firm, like, hey, if you're a lot more serious about this, if you need that next step of like, okay, I'm inspired. One thing we talk about is like, hey, inspiration can only take you so far. Motivation will only take you so far.
Yep.
Discipline is what you need. So, okay, you've been inspired, you've been motivated a million times over, still in the same spot. What's that next step? And I think the basketball firm is a huge thing that a lot of families, that's that next step. That's the mom that really sees their kid love the sport but doesn't know how to help them because they didn't play. Or the dad that just needs that extra like information just to kind of board of directors, bring you on to the board of directors of their kid. So it's exciting to see that. I love that it all kind of encompasses the same and it's all help. You're really a representation of that. There's nothing you do that you can say, oh, it's all about Todd Wilson. Oh, it's all selfish. Yeah. Like this, you sit here and you interview people. And I was like, man, do they know like your story? Like we're putting it out now, but it's like, you're so inspirational. Well, I won't say inspirational. I'll say
I'm not inspirational? No.
I'll say like, what's the word? I want to like mentor. You're really a mentor. I mean, you're my business mentor. You and your wife are my life mentors. And you're so many kids' mentor. So I think a lot of people don't know that on that side of the screen. Like the people that don't know you personally. Now, if you've been around CORE, if you know any of these actual kids that have been part of CORE, then you know it's like, oh yeah, he's a mentor. Like I've seen these kids cry to you, hug you, want to like make you proud. And it's like, we just recently talked about that. Like we all have this, like we want to make you proud because we see how much you pour into us because you've poured into yourself first through God. So I want to know what kid, former alumni of CORE Prep Academy, has poured into you. Or a few. You don't have to go into one.
Has poured into me. I mean, all of them. It's very hard to say one, because they all impact me in a different way. In my growth as a dad myself, like knowing how to parent my child, seeing the kids' needs and their needs, from a parenting aspect, and then as a mentor, having somebody who's in your corner who can lift them to the next level, and just to see how they listen. There's stuff I've told, here a story is that first week, the same moment with Johnny, I told him that everything I'm telling you now is going to mean so much when you get to the next level.
Yeah.
This is in middle school, and I can't remember if his first or second year. It was his first year when he was at Kentucky. He called me and said, "Coach, thank you. What you told me in 8th grade, I finally realized what you were telling me." It came back full circle. He was like, exactly what you said. That moment has happened. So I want to thank you. I finally understand what you were doing in that moment. That moment I made him super emotional, right?
Yeah.
And so it's those moments. It's, seeing Elijah at his high school games and just, expressing everything to me and how he feels, and the way the Barnes boys just come up and in the middle of warm-ups come and give me a 5. Like, man, this is high school. You can't do that. Like, get back to the game. Quincy Bentley, who's up at Western Oregon, who, like, we just check in. He knows that I'm in his corner because I was there in a time where people didn't believe in that he would ever play college basketball, and telling him, "Oh no, you're a college player." It's the Roman Fishers, who is more committed than I am, more ambitious than I am since he's been 14 or 15. Like, he gets it. Everything he does is focused on him being the best person and basketball player he could be. And, waking up at 4:45 a.m. to work out, almost
I was there one day.
right, in the fall, like literally every day. It's not like one-offs. Like, no, he wakes up because he wants to work, and when he gets to the gym, he's awake and alert and on it. And then he goes home and eats good, and we do get donuts sometimes. Sorry, Coach Russ, who's his nutritionist, but it's the Sky Clarks, who's just like, to be able to handle all the attention that he's had since he was in 7th and 8th grade, to be on the national stage at Louisville now in a really a tight spot. Like, he's such a great player. How are you going to get your team to win? How are you going to prepare yourself for the next level at the same time? And everything he's had to deal with, injury, moving across the country, like, these are kids we're talking about. And so just seeing their ambition and commitment to themselves, their families, and the game is what they teach me. It's like, I can't let this go, because who's the next Elijah? Who's the next ZZ Clark? Yeah. Who's the next Ben Schultzberg? Who's the next Mike Price? Like, who's the next Boston Horn? Like, all these kids, like, man, I'm so blessed to be in a position to give them something that gives them confidence to do what they love and try to get to the next level.
Yeah. And that's one you do on your own. You do it to the coaches. You pour into coaches, because you can even say that you elevate their game. Because I've seen coaches go from, you gave them an opportunity and then they learn from you. I've been called Todd Jr. I like to sit in your desk and just give advice. Now, hopefully,
I hope it's the right
hopefully
advice.
It does something in their life. But I'm excited. 2024.
I'm excited for 2024. We're going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Going to have some new stuff. Yeah, wherever it takes us. I just want to impact more people. I want to give good information. I want people to sit in this chair who just can use their words to inspire, encourage, and motivate people to get to the next level and elevate their game. I said it. And give more good content that's helpful. Like, I'm not making content to make content. I wish I could make skits and all that fun stuff. Got a couple out there, but just good content, and for people to see that there is help. Yeah. That whatever you need in this, there's help. From your character development to your basketball development to your family situation. And that's, like you said, what the basketball firm is for, is to give kids the opportunity to see what they have to do. Mm-hmm. I think people want to do stuff. They don't see the work that goes into being a high-level Division I player or NBA player. And so I've been blessed in the position to see it. Here's at least the blueprint. Here's the skeleton of it.
Yeah.
Let's get there.
So we're going to go into the final segment. Mount Rushmore. We have the topic for underrated guests of 2023 that we have had.
Ooh, underrated.
Underrated.
Underrated guests. All our guests were amazing. Thank you all. I guess we go by like their views on YouTube, maybe. Because I think all the guests were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you underrate the people we had on here. But
yeah, I think the view count, I'm like, how did this person not get a little more attention?
I'm going to go with Chris Young.
Absolutely.
Ghetto Bird. The history of LA, his journey, still being connected to the game, to being a video man, a video man for a Destiny's Child, to what he's doing with Air West, and just, man, his story and what you can do from not having information when you're young to what he's doing now, and what he's doing to help kids is so amazing. So Chris Young for sure. Alicia Kamakis, National Coach of the Year, Sierra Canyon, so many rings, so much information, so passionate. Like go watch and listen to coaches if you want to learn how to run a program, players if you want to know what you need to do to be at that high level. Like she speaks to her mentors and everything. So Alicia Kamaki's episode was amazing. Sean Kalani, who's a heck of a player developer, coach. She's developing some curriculum and some online tools, and just connecting the basketball community in so many different ways. And her story, like growing up with a brother who was in the NBA and what that was like in her playing days, and surviving injury, and just allowing basketball to guide her to where she's at as well. And so Sean Kalani's. And lastly, man, trying to think of my last one. Probably Chris Hines, who was an assistant coach for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Chris Hines, his journey, his wisdom, his unselfishness to just develop people is amazing. And so just knowing him and what he had to give, and for him to be at the level that he's at with his experience. And I think people should really tap into what he has as well. But go and watch every episode.
Honestly.
Or just listen in your car. Like, we're on YouTube, we're on the Apple, we're on Spotify. You have no excuses to not listen. And most of them are great. Like, they're good conversation. It's not that boring. It's really not.
That's why, I mean, I'm from the side of just people that inspired me and inspirational, underrated, have to be Chris Young, Chris Hines. Their storytelling, incredible.
Yeah.
And to add on John Lucas III, but he's I think it's still underrated for how good his stories are.
Yeah.
Even though his views like are higher than others, I'm like, still underrated. Like that interview, oh my gosh, I need a book. I need an illustrated book, first of all.
John should have. John's going to have a book one day. His story is still being written now. You know, assistant coach. When we interviewed him, it was right before he got the job with the Suns, and so his what he's just talking. Oh yeah,
so good. But
the history of the NBA. Like, he's been around the NBA since birth. Yeah, and to be around it this long, and the things that he accomplishes an undersized guard, and
incredible. From literally, like you said. Last one, I think, is super underrated. And I'm surprised because every guest we've had always mentions him. Jason Hart. Oh, yeah. How is Jason Hart's episode? He is incredible. I think...
you know what it is? I think it was because he was one of our first guests.
Yeah.
And
we need to bring him back.
Yeah, we need to bring Jay Hart back. Jay Hart, when the season's over, come through. Yeah. And, yeah, that's for sure. We need to bring Jay Hart back. And
we need more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a few of our guests, I just want to, again...
Yeah.
Let's just interview him again.
100%.
We need more 100%. Stories. It wasn't enough time.
Yes. Time to flip the script.
Oh, gosh. Alex,
no, time to flip the script. 2 questions for Karina Isabel. My first question for you is, how does it feel to work in a space where, 1, you're passionate about, and 2, you're making money while being passionate about it.
It's crazy. I feel like grateful is an understatement. Like, we always like, oh, I'm grateful for the day. I'm grateful I'm alive. But I'm like, no, like, I don't think that even matches how good it feels. Because, I mean, yeah, I've been creative since I was little. And then to have genius brothers, like science brothers, it was that pressure. And my mom's a businesswoman. So it's always been a pressure of like, I need to go into a secure field, being a first generation. So to be able to say like, I'm working in my passion as a first generation Latina, being able to represent and being able to even just like have that support from my family. So it's not just they have to support me because I'm like trying to figure it out. It's like, no, I figured it out. I'm doing it. I enjoy it. Yeah. And it's true. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Like, I think I have put more hours into this than anything else. All aspects of this, from photography, from videography. I mean, summer was insane, from going Pangos All-American, and then came back for my birthday just because it was the first time I saw my mom on my birthday in a few years. So dinner with her, left to New York the next day to go work. And I was like, this is what it's about. This is what trusting God and taking a leap of faith is about. Mm-hmm. And being obedient. Because you can't have God's results without God's rules. And I learned that. You try to stray away and you see a few little things. But it feels great. I think it feels like a responsibility too. Not just gratitude, because I never want to take it like for granted. But it feels like a responsibility to continue. It's never a let people down. It's more of a lift people up. It's a responsibility to inspire other people, to give an opportunity to other people, because you've given me this opportunity. Now I'm like, I want to do that for somebody else. Yeah. So yeah, that's what it feels like.
And what would you like to see for Elevate Your Game? You are a big part of this, right? Like, yes, I sit in that chair and talk to people about basketball and their lives and stuff and their journey. What would you like to see for Elevate Your Game in 2024?
I want to see it, one, we take it out of these four walls. Like, let's go to people. I want it to bring that opportunity. But then even like be able to make it bilingual. Being able to, just make it be a production company versus just this one, like bring in more episodes that have to do with other stuff. Like, we'll introduce other segments of Elevate Your Game, and being able to see it be bigger than just the English language, being bigger than just LA. Like where it's a whole production company, where we have host other segments somewhere else, and we host it under Elevate Your Game. And it's, I think we can do it.
Let's do it. No, I'm with it. I'm with it. Yeah.
I think basketball is, it's international. People play overseas. Yeah. Who's to say we can't go and find those people?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's it. Get your passport ready.
It's ready.
Ashley, sorry I can't babysit. I will be with Todd. But yeah, well, what a great episode.
Thank you for tapping into our special Christmas special. Special Christmas special. That's what we're going to call it. The special Christmas special with our host, Karina Isabel. Hey, check out her Instagram, Since I Can't Hoop. It's her creative photography just focused on basketball because she's not a hooper, but she loves hoop for whatever reason. And go follow her on Since I Can't Hoop as well. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah,
been an amazing journey this 2023. We're going to kill it in 2024.
Can't wait.
See y'all next time. Peace.